Hey guys, do you want to be able to build a boulder wall just like this one? Well, today I'm going to go through what it takes to get the stone, to deal with the fabrics, to dig the foundation, and ultimately build the wall. So let's get going. First step is going to be to dig the foundation. All right, this is going to be anywhere from 10 to 12 inches deep. The idea here is you just dig a trench. All right, then what you're going to do is you're going to put the landscape fabric in like this. Okay, and I'm going to draw that blue just to be able to see it. All right, next step, you're going to add crushed stone into this. All right, to form the base. So this is the crushed stone, and I'm going to draw that orange. All right, so that crushed stone is here. All right, then the next step is to take your biggest boulders that you have and start with your largest boulder. Okay, so this is going to be our largest boulder. We're going to draw it right here. All right, so that's the largest boulder. All right, and then we're going to add stone to both this behind here on this side of the fabric and on this side. All right, we're going to add maybe 6 to 8 inches of stone behind both sides of the fabric. All right, and coming up a little bit above this boulder. Then on the back side of the wall, we're going to fill in here. We're going to fill this with dirt. All right, so that's dirt. This is stone around the boulder on both sides of the landscape fabric. All right, then you add your next stone here. Okay, and it's going to be sitting on the bottom stone and on some of the stone behind here, but you want to flip it and flop it until you get it sitting on this bottom stone as well as the gravel. All right, and you want to be going back slightly into the bank of the hill. Okay, so your angle is tipped back into it, so that way the stone is leaning against the rock and the dirt, but not so much that it's going to kick out from underneath. So it wants to be going back, I like to say 15 degrees. Okay, that's sort of the angle that I've always heard and that I try to do. So more or less this wall is going to be going back 15 degrees. I'm going to add in more stone and gravel as I go up. So more stone, gravel, compact it. All right, key takeaway, you want to make sure that gravel is on both sides of the fabric. You also want to make sure you're going at that 15-degree angle, and as you're going up, the stones are getting smaller. The base stone is the biggest. Okay guys, at the stone yard here, just kind of want to run over these stones a little bit. Now these ones right here are about 2 to 3 foot stones. These are very heavy, and you'd have to use an excavator to move them. So I'm not getting anything like this, but you can see that they look kind of dirty right now. They eventually get cleaned off, and you won't have an issue with that. These are more on my target range here, and as you can see, these rocks, these are about 1 foot to maybe 1'3", but these are all pretty manageable. This guy's pretty big, but these ones are big, but you can move them. Okay, so these are all hand movable. This is what I shoot for and what I'm going to be working with today on our wall. So yeah, the size of boulders very, very important to specify to whoever's getting you the rock, or if you're getting the rock. If you're hand moving them, don't go much more than 1 foot to 1.5 feet, or you just won't be able to move them. So that's a lesson I've learned a few times. Do your homework on this. Don't just go to the local landscape supply store. Go a place that really has some nice selection, and just walk around and see what it looks like. Okay, the landscape fabric that's behind the wall. This is a good example of you get what you pay for. All right, obviously you could go with a 5-year, but that's gonna last basically 2 years. So I typically go with minimum a 20-year, and you know, the 20-year, for example, is 64. But then when you come over here to Geo Fabrics, this is a heavier duty commercial fabric, which is what I prefer, because this is just gonna last forever. So when you're choosing your fabrics, just think about how long you want this to last for, which is ideally longer than you live at the house. And I would recommend going with something that is a good quality. Step 1, you gotta mark where you wanna put the boulder wall. Next, I'm digging the trench that I'll put the base foundation stone in. Now this is really important. I try to go down at least a foot and make it as wide as possible, you know, a foot, foot and a half. You want to make sure that it's a nice deep trench that pretty much follows the contour, and ultimately you'll be putting the crushed gravel in there for your stone wall base. Okay, now enough for the hand digging. Next, I'm going to bring the tractor down and a load of stone. Now, like I said, the tractor is optional, but it sure makes it helpful to move a lot of material. You know, I've done this before with wheelbarrows. It just takes a little bit longer, it's a little more physical, and being on a hill in particular, it makes it tough. But here, what I'm doing is I'm spreading the stone. I'm shooting for about anywhere from 8 to 9 inches of stone, just to give it a really solid base that I can set these stones into. It also helps with the drainage. You know, any water that comes down through can get under the rock and out. But then the other thing here that I'm incorporating into this is a sprinkler system. And I had the sprinkler line there already, so all I have to do is dig down, typically put the sprinkler at least a foot down. I'm going to put that line in, and then that way the wall can go up over top of the sprinkler line. And I have the sprinkler system already in the flower bed up above when I build the wall. Next step, I got to compact the stone to make a firm base. This is a pretty important step. You want to make sure you have a solid foundation for those rocks to sit on. Then I'm going to pull the landscape fabric out that we spoke about earlier. This is an important thing. Without this, the dirt will run right through the rocks, and you'll end up getting grass and weeds and everything growing into your wall, your rock wall. So this landscape fabric really helps keep that dirt out of it. Especially for a smaller wall, it's really important to have. But I find in general, all the walls I've done, I've always used the landscape fabric. Next step, I'm setting all of the rocks. Now this is the start to this. And if you notice, what we're doing is we're adding the stone, crushed gravel, behind the rock, and ultimately we'll also add it behind the landscape fabric eventually. But the idea here is to give the rock above something solid to sit on. Okay, now we have the stones. I just pulled some down with the tractor. Huge help to have the tractor. And I also use the tractor in a way where it's higher up and I set the rock down. So some of these larger rocks, I just kind of roll them off, fill the rock, the gravel behind it, and then also behind the fabric. I'm going back and forth, and creating a solid base that each rock can sit on the layer above. So the first step is getting the larger boulders down on the base level, making sure they're seated into the rock, and then rocking behind them with the gravel and creating sort of a nice solid base for that next rock to sit right on top of. Part of the job is just getting the material in place. In my case, I'm on a hill, so it makes it harder. But even if you're not on a hill, you still got to move a lot of weight. You got to do it safely. So the tractor helps. Wheelbarrow. Sometimes I even use. I have this big, huge dolly that I use for boulders. But it is a big part of the job. It's very physical. You know, and it is a challenge when you're dealing with these heavy rocks and stone. Okay, so stone by stone, you're gonna notch together the stones. So I'm looking to see, I'm rotating, I'm messing with the stones in different ways to kind of see which one goes where, and I'm constantly looking at it from afar. But the trick is there's really no linear path here. You just sort of fit them together. Okay, next step is to start backfilling the wall. So now I'm bringing in a few scoops of dirt and starting to push that against the backside of the fabric. So I've got the fabric, the stone, and then the dirt. So this is quite a bit of backfill. I don't know, probably 20, 30 scoops of dirt. I'm just going back and forth and backfilling it. Again, the tractor helps. Otherwise you'd be doing this by hand, but it's possible. It's just it takes a little more work if you don't have a tractor. Okay, as you can see here, I just backfilled the dirt, topsoil in there. You can see the fabric liner and then the stone. And that fabric liner, again, is sort of a filter, keeps that sandy soil from coming through the wall. So that's a really important part. But I think this sort of shows that sort of example of what I'm talking about, where you've got the liner, and then eventually I'll just fold the liner back over top the rock pack there and bring soil right up to the edge. But that's the basic idea of how that all layers together. Okay, finished product here. As you can see, it turned out really nice. Borders the lawn in a great way. I haven't put the plants in yet, but that'll be this fall or in the spring. It just depends on when I want to put them in. But in general, it has a really nice rustic look. Pretty darn easy to put in. And again, it was really just the material required, not necessarily labor, but it fits into the rest of the aesthetic. I think that it brings a lot of value to the house in terms of look, but also just functionally, it's kind of holding it back, giving us some nice edges to be able to take the grass up to. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this one.